Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. Well, as you know, NXT are still coming off after last week when we have a brand new NXT North American champion, and of course, the shocking betrayal of what happened between Zaruka and everything else. So, we're going to go from A to Z on the entirety of the event. But, first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, West Coast Pro with their latest show that happened, of course, last week in Commerce, California, of course, which is part of the LA area. Evil Empire. We do all four championships will be on the line. That's going to be a hell of a match. But, however, will we see title changes? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And we also got other special matches. But after that, of course, we will be wrapping up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got to do Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, let's begin with West Coast Pro. Okay, West Coast Pro, Evil Empire. So this is their latest show that took place this past Friday, of course. We opened up with Gabe Roca taking on Aaron Solo. Now, I don't know much about Gabe Roca from anybody knows, but those who know Aaron Solo, yes, we all know who he is. He is part of, of course, the Bay Area, which, of course, where West Coast Pro is from. We see them in AEW and Ring of Honor as well. But obviously, the match we kind of figured it was going to go with Aaron Solo since he is a much recognized wrestler, and not to mention he plays the part of a heel very well, and he was able to do that when he applied a somewhat modified of a DDT, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he picked up the win. Now our next match is for the West Coast Pro um, Golden Gate Championship in a three-way. We have two challengers. We have G Sharp versus uh, Flyboy Andrew Cass versus the champion Alan Angels. Yes, you know him as Five from the Dark Order, of course. So obviously, three ways are very, very unpredictable because you may never know how this is going to end. Because normally, when at 101, there'll be moments we can try to see exactly. But when it comes to three ways, well, there'll be the prevention of the third person try to stop it. But what happened is we did see a 450 splash by Andrew Cass that he applied on both um, Angels and G Sharp, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Brand new Golden Gate champion. Next up, we have Stephen Wolf versus Royce Isaacs. So these guys went all slobber knockers in the entire match. I mean, Royce Isaacs can hit harder than you wouldn't possibly imagine, but he was able to defeat Wolf with a, of course, the pile drive, no, the tombstone, and just like that, uno, dos, tres, rest in peace. Next up, we have Jaya Jewel versus Gary Gray. Of course, Jaya Jewel, he is a very interesting wrestler. And Gary Gray, yeah, they're like the two toughest SOBs I've seen. But man, this match went really, really hard. And man, Jaya Jewel took out Gary Gray outside the ring by applying what they call the blade uh, gator or something like that. And just like that, he took him out outside the ring, and then he dragged him back into the ring just to cover the pinfall. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Alpha Zoe versus Brett the Threat. Brett the Threat, I have to say, he did everything humanly possible to take out Alpha Zoe, who is a well recognized wrestler within, of course, West Coast Pro. And that's exactly what's been happening right there. But he tried to use submission moves, whatever he could. But Alpha Zoe was able to pick up the win when he tossed him. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next up, we have Miku Alana taking on Billy Starks, who many of you know her. You know her. You guys know her career, and not to mention being part of AW and Ring of Honor, and part of in many other independent promotions. Many people might have presumed in this matter Billy Starks was the one to win since she's more recognized, but it was an upset of a match when Miku Alana applied a crucifix, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Our next match, we have Adrian Quest taking on Lee Moriarty. So this was going to be a very interesting match. We all know Lee Moriarty is a great technical wrestler. He can uh, get the job done by putting you in a submission, and that's exactly what we would have assumed coming from him. And Adrian Quest, well, he's well recognized all over, the independents, most specifically in the southern area or the entire Pacific coast, if you know what I mean. But he was able to Lee Moriarty was able to pick up the win with the clutch, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match, this is the second of 4 championships that were put on the line. We have the West Coast Women's Championship. Laney Luck, who is the challenger, and also the WWE ID Women's Champion, faces Johnny Robbie. So you probably would have presumed that Laney Luck would have had a double championship. Obviously, that would have been the case. But no, Johnny Robbie was able to take her out. I would assume she was going to apply the double knee drive onto her, but no, she applied the TWK, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match we have for the West Coast Pro Tag Team titles, the Crush Boys, Titus Alexander and Starboard Charlie, defend them against New Fever, consistent of Shimbazi and Danny Orion. And of course, this match started with New Fever making a beeline straight up to, of course, to Crush Boys before the bell even rung. And that's exactly what have been happening. But however, at some point during the match, Titus Alexander noticed that Alan Angels was right there, and he showed up to be in the commentary booth, which is very distracting, of course. That would have been one of the things. But luckily, of course, Titus Alexander and Starboy Charlie refuses to give up. It was, of course, a great combination of them to pick up the win, and then Starboy Charlie making the final blow with the shooting star press onto Orion, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, of course, Alan Angel showed up, and then Aaron Solo showed up, and they attacked both Crush Boys. And of course, it doesn't take a genius what this is about, and this is that they're declaring themselves as the next challengers for the West Coast Pro Tag Team belts. Obviously, that was the case. Now, our main event, we have the West Coast Pro World title. Vinny Masario defends it against LeBron Cozone. Many of you may remember him. He appeared mostly with Deadlock Pro Wrestling. Pretty good wrestler, and I thought the match was going to be interesting. I wasn't too entirely sure where this is going to go, but it was Vinny Masario with the Granada driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the belt, and just like that, it's over. We are expecting more with West Coast Pro, but for now, this is how things end. So let's move on to our next and final review, and that is, of course, NXT. Okay, NXT. Now we opened up with Miles Bourne doing a promo. As you all know already, a week ago he became our brand new NXT North American champion. So he talks about, of course, that he's going to be a fighting champion. But however, of course, Ethan Page, the man that he defeated with this belt, let's just say he feels like it's a load of hogwash calling himself that he's a fighting champion. So of course he's determined to regain that belt back. But instead, they decided they want to have the match now. And of course, Mr. Stone was trying to say, how about a little later? But they decided, nope, let's jump in. So they decided just to go on the regular dressing attire, whatever they were wearing, not their in-ring wrestling gear attire, which is something we would have done. But of course, they would tear each other up with their normal clothes. But of course, Miles Bourne did try to use the ankle lock on Ethan Page, the same one that he used to dismantle his ankle when he crushed it with the chair. But he decided to take a little page out of Ethan Page playbook by using a shoe right in him and then applying the Born Again. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Miles Bourne retained the belt. Now, we did see an interview with Sarah talking to Zarya, explaining her actions towards last week. But of course, Zarya is not here to talk about that because she has on her mind is the NXT Women's Championship. Now, while that interview was over, we did see a little bit further from behind them. Dark State, as you probably know, they're pissed after what happened last week, knowing that Tony D'Angelo cost them the NXT Tag Team belts. But Mr. Stone was trying to give room for Tony D'Angelo to make his way to the ring. And of course, he did show up a little bit after they left, and he brought a little friend with him. I'm not talking about a human friend, we're talking about a crowbar, which is something he has used during his tenure in NXT. Now, we did see, of course, Blake Monroe go out to do a promo talking about this situation. If you guys saw what happened last week, Blake Monroe was part of the speed tournament, but it was Jada Parker that kind of prevented her from advancing. So basically, she felt that she was screwed by Jada Parker to achieve her goal. However, Jada Parker is telling her that she's nothing but an insecure woman with this whole mantra of what she's done. And that's what it was going on. So they've been going back and forth with each other on this matter. Now, we did see a little later of that after a match, and I'll explain that, of course, where Blake Monroe decided that she was going to have a match against Jada Parker at Vengeance Day, and it's going to be a street fight. So let's see how that rolls up from there. Now, Ethan Page was in the back, all depressed, crying like a little big baby that he couldn't believe that he lost again to Miles Bourne. And Ricky Saints is trying to cheer him up. But however, of course, here comes the Vanity Project blaming themselves that they should have been by his side. But Ethan told them, no, guys, it's okay. You guys have to prepare yourselves for the 6-man tag team match. And of course, Ricky decided to continue to treat him. Look, man, you're the longest reigning NXT North American champion. That gotta count to something. But you're also a 2-time NXT North American champion. So that kind of sets it up right there. But Ethan was like in the mood whatsoever. Now, we did see Sean Legacy having a little chit chat with Eli Knight, explaining about what happened last week during the Speed Championship match, where of course Eli LaFleur took the advantage after Eli Knight applied a moonsault on Jasper Troy. But of course Eli LaFleur said, you would have done the same thing too, but it happens. But of course, Jasper Troy decides that he wants his title back, so that kind of sets it up right there. Now, our next match is the women's speed tournament. As you know, we have that match taking place. We did see Ren Sinclair taking on Nikita Lyons. Now, obviously, many people would have assumed that Nikita Lyons, who is really good at what she does, not to mention her background in martial arts, was going to be the top tier to put her to the next level. But however, it was Ren Sinclair who was able to survive when she applied the wrench, the final wrench, and just like that, just put her in a submission, and Nikita Lyons tapped out, and just like that, she is in the finals against Thea Hale. Now, Miles Bourne was in the back having a chit chat with, of course, Joe Hendry. Of course, Joe Hendry was congratulating him on his win, and not to mention, Miles Bourne told him that he saw that documentary about his career and all his life that he's been putting it through. But of course, Joe Hendry told him, "Look, dude, you are more inspirational because of your disability." He's like saying, "Yeah, what's the one thing that about my disability is that I don't have to hear crap." And of course, he said, "I would have done the same thing to Ricky Saints if that was me." And of course, Miles Bourne had that like a little offense. I'm sorry. And then he pulled out the spin things. Like, I was just messing with you. You're not the only one with the sense of humor. So it looks like they're palling around on this one. Now, Kelani Jordan, as you know, she likes to flaunt her way around, telling people how she was the first woman to tap out Lola Vice. But she went to get some training at an MMA gym, and guess who was her trainer? Someone that Lola Vice is familiarized with. And guess who that was? It was Shayna Baszler, obviously. But of course, Shayna Baszler is trying to warn her that she is an expert in this matter, not her. And not to mention, Kelani Jordan's gymnastics style is not going to be any good for her, regardless. But Kelani Jordan thinks it doesn't matter. I made her tap out. Like, she thinks just one tap out, that means she can do it again. But we all know exactly what Lola Vice is planning to do. Now, we did see a bit of a face-to-face confrontation ahead of the Vengeance Day this coming Saturday. Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley talking about their match, and of course the dark side that Tatum Paxley talks about. But Izzy doesn't believe it's going to happen, but we'll just wait and see. Now, our next match is a 6-man tag match. Charlotte Hill teams up with the former tag team champions Hank and Tank, taking on the Vanity Project. Now, of course, the Vanity Project did everything humanly possible to dismantle Shiloh and Hank and Tank every way possible. But, oh my god, there was a fantastic moment where there was a synchronization when they were able to get Smokes and Baylor out of the ring, and Shiloh Hill was on the outside. Well, they kind of did a little this way. Hank and Tank did a tope suicida onto Smokes and Baylor, while Shiloh Hill got on the steps and jump onto, of course, Jackson Drake, and then apply a neck breaker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But we did see a little later Blake Monroe about her situation with the street fight that she set up at Vengeance Day against Jada Parker, and all hell broke loose during that time. And of course, Hale, Hank, and Tank tried to separate these women because it was getting out of control. So good job for them for stepping up on that plate. Now, Tony D'Angelo once again struck when he attacked Osiris Griffin, and of course, Dion Lennox just had enough. So, of course, Mr. Stone tries to find out what the hell is going on, but we all know what is going on. Now, Lola Vice, as you know, was given, not advice, but more of a precaution that if her hand is injured even further, the possibility she could be out for months or indefinite, out of the game. So she's willing to go further into that matter. Now, on the ring, we did see Dion Lennox calling out Tony D'Angelo about the situation. However, of course, there's going to be a match happening in Vengeance Day between them. But of course, Tony did stated that he came back for 2 reasons. One is to make Dark State pay for what they have done. So we'll see where that leads to there. Now, Jay-Z Jane was on having an interview talking about, of course, surviving Saria, but she's like saying, I will survive this. And that's exactly what happened. But she doesn't believe that Tsuruka was here. And that's where we jump into our match, where we had the NXT Women's title on the line. Of course, Jay-Z Jane was going to have Fatal Influence to get involved. So Ruka got involved herself. And what's surprising, she applied a double soul snatcher on both Zarya and Daisy Jane and taking them out both. So just like that, it was completely ended up in a in a disqualification. I'm not sure if this is, qualifies as a no contest, but that's how things end right there. Now, Mr. Stone had to address the situation about this. He said that he'll make that decision, of course, because they want to have the NXT Women's title defended at Stand and Deliver, which is going to take place in April. But he did stated that he's going to address this matter on Vengeance Day. So we'll see exactly what's cooked up. But I would not be surprised if it's a three-way match. Now, Ricky Saints decided to have a concert of his own called The Absolute Experience. Well, he tried to play the guitar. Well, he probably sucks at it. But Joe Hendry took matter of his own hands and whacked him until, of course, Vanity Project showed up. It became a 4-on-1 situation. But Miles Bourne showed up to give a helping hand and took out the trash, of course. And just like that, it was over, and they did the spin back. Had the back turn away from the camera, then spin to the other side, which was good. So I enjoyed the show. It was really fun. So we're done right now with our reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events, starting with GCW updates. As always, we only have 2 of those. As you know, we have the Chicago event taking place this coming Sunday on March 8th. They announced Nate Webb will take on Dr. Redacted. And then, of course, we have the 2-day event happening in Atlantic City. One of them is Ash to Ashes, which is night 1 on the 14th of March. The Blake Christian will be taking on Marcus Mathers. Now, many of you know this coming Friday we have the CML Noche de Amazonias, which is, of course, an all-women's show in CML down in Mexico. Now, some names have been mentioned. They announced, of course, the CML Women's World Tag Team titles will be on the line. The current champions, Lluvia and La Horchita, will be defending those belts against Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, and May Sera. Now, this was announced recently that they were going to be part of this, and this is one of them. But, of course, other wrestlers were there. Mina Shirakawa will be in action to take on Zeuxis, and then, of course, Olympia will take on the Megasis. Now, originally, this match was supposed to happen with Penelope before, but due to the ankle injury that happened last week, it kind of prevented it a bit. So Megan Bain is a suitable wrestler. This is going to be a slobber knocker match. I'm not going to lie. Hopefully I do get the chance to see it. Now, we do have, of course, House of Glories. 2 updates on this one. The Turf Wars is going to happen on the 6th of March in Chicago. They announced Private Party will take on Davey Bang and August Matthews, and then Myron Reed will take on Cash Flow, Ken Broadway. And then, of course, we have the Las Vegas show that's going to happen on the 16th of April. Ricky Sosa will be making his appearance. Now, as you all know, we do have more matches announced for the upcoming tournament by German promotion WXW with 16 Carat. This goes on between the 6th and the 8th of March. They announced Allen Angels will take on the franchise Titus Alexander. And then, of course, finally, we have the collaboration between Italian promotion SAJ and Tokyo Pro Wrestling on the 26th of April. They announced Corey Zero. I don't know who she is, but she's French, from my understanding. I don't know if I have any French subscribers if they know who she is. So yes, so that's pretty much it coming in from that. Let's move on to our developments. Let's give congratulations to Nigel McGuinness and his partner Coyote on the birth of their newborn baby boy. So congratulations, guys. As you all know, Yuka Sakazaki will be participating in the upcoming Tokyo Pro Wrestling event, Wrestle Prince. Is it Wrestle Princess? No, Grand Princess, of course, on the 29th of March. And she just announced to everybody that she'll have a brand new entrance theme. Don't know exactly how that's gonna be, but hopefully there's still some remnants of the old ones that we know. So that's pretty cool. Now, MJF just recently talked about WWE prices on the KVI ABC 7, and this is what he said. Unlike WWE, you don't have to sell the soul of your firstborn to an AEW ticket. They are normal prices. We don't discriminate against poors the same way the world champion does. I hate people who somebody has to say daddy's bills. So yeah. So I mean, we all know the ticket prices in WWE has always been up. We have seen that. We heard it. I even had friends that went to the WrestleMania show. I mean, they often say how much they have to spend to go see it. So, but yeah. Now, recently, if you guys have Mina Shirakawa on Instagram, apparently she had like a bit of a Q&A taking place on live on her Instagram, and some questions were very interesting that she had to talk about. Some fan asked her, "Are you a fan of Kairi Sane?" And she responded, "Yes. This noon we ate at soba together. Kairi is very senpai, but she's very kind to me, so I love her. So that's good that she's hanging out with her. I mean, no secret that Kairi Sane lives in the States. Someone even asked her about, her being, if she went to the New Japan show in Jersey, of course, the New Beginning USA, and she said this: "I went to see New Japan Strong show. Why I went there is because I want to see Shuri's match in person. We talk about how about recently Stardom. She asked about American life. Very normal talking. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you got to say hi to someone you met, basically shared the ring with like countless times, and say hi. How's it going? How it's been going on in Stardom? How things have been going on in your American life? I mean, it's normal stuff, and I can understand that." Someone asked her if she can speak Spanish, but she says, "I want to speak Spanish. I want to learn, but it's difficult for me. Please teach me. Hola, gracias. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. La más guapa. It's me." But regarding of her speaking Spanish, they asked her about CML. As you probably know, I mentioned her name recently. She says, "Yes, CML. I'm going to CML. Yes, I'm so excited to see Micah and Starlight Kid in May." So yeah, we all know Micah's going to be so happy to see her. I mean, who wouldn't? And then finally, she talked about, of course, her favorite match, and she said it's the Tokyo match against Mercedes. Yeah, because Tokyo Dome is very, very dream venue for wrestlers, and I like that match. So it makes perfect sense. So yeah, I don't know if there's any more questions that anybody asked about, but if they do, I'll let you guys know. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have, of course, AEW Dynamite and WWE Evolve, but also, as we all speak, the beginning, of course, of the New Japan Cup. Now, some first round matches. Now, I may have to change on certain things that I want to do. I'm not sure exactly how many matches they have for the New Japan Cup. I know there's a lot of wrestlers. I may want to focus on those mostly, but we'll see how things will progress. If there's anything else, we'll see. Also, stay tuned for the upcoming special episode that will be coming out soon. And of course, I will be doing a separate news updates on the upcoming event with WrestleCon that will already announce certain wrestlers that will be there. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I'll say this: I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.